Did you know the used car market in America is about to go through one of the worst crashes we've seen in the last 5 years? And the worst part, most buyers and even most dealers still haven't figured it out yet. Enterprise Car Sales, one of the biggest fleet sellers and used car retailers in the country, just dropped their latest numbers. And brother, it was a cold bucket of water right in the face. Right after the announcement, their stock tanked over 15% in a single session. That's not a dip. That's the market screaming that something is seriously wrong. And this problem is coming straight for your wallet, whether you're a buyer, a seller, or just a guy who owns a car. I was at the auction this week, and prices were better than I expected, and not because the market got healthier. It's because there's way too much iron sitting on the block, and not enough buyers with money in their pocket. That's weakness, folks. Pure weakness. The phone rings, and you want to guess what I keep hearing? Hey, I've got $500 down. Can I finance a $12,000 Civic? Or such? What's the monthly on that? Because I can only do $150 a month. My friend, $150 a month on a $12,000 car? That's not a car loan, that's a fantasy. Auto loan rates right now are so out of control that the monthly payment is eating up most of a guy's paycheck before the 10th of the month even rolls around. But what really worries me is that a lot of folks are walking onto my lot and they can't pull together even $8,000 cash at one time. They need to finance a basic used Econobox. This isn't a short-term rough patch. This is a snapshot of an economy that's squeezing the average American from every direction. Electric bill, groceries, rent, and by the end of the month, there's nothing left to put away for a decent car. But let's get back to Enterprise because they're giving us more clues than most people realize. You know what a big company does when they think the worst is still ahead? They stop buying back their own stock. And that's exactly what happened. They paused their buyback program, and that's a red warning light flashing on the dashboard. Think about it this way. When a big company buys back its own shares, it's telling the market, we believe in our future. Our stock is going up. It's worth investing in ourselves. When they stop, they're saying one of two things. Either the stock isn't going up anytime soon, so there's no point. Or worse, they need to hold on to that cash because they know a storm is coming. And in the used car market right now, that storm has a name: default. The lenders are sitting on a massive book of high-risk contracts, credit that was handed out back when rates were easier to customers whose credit scores were barely hanging on. And now? Now the payment comes due, the guy can't pay, the lender repossesses the car, and the domino effect kicks in. Think about the cycle. The customer can't make his payments, loses the car, needs another car to get to work, tries to get approved again, and finds out his credit score went down the drain right along with the car. Lender won't approve him. Bank won't touch him. The guy's got no car and no credit at the same time. And the lender is stuck with a repossessed vehicle that needs to be inspected, detailed, and resold in a market that's already flooded with inventory. It's a snowball that nobody stops. It just changes who's getting crushed by it. And that's where the small, independent dealer comes in. When credit dries up and financing becomes a pipe dream, the customer with no options ends up knocking on the door of whoever's selling cheap, clean cars. Cash deals, no hassle, no paperwork mountain. They don't want payments. They don't want to get burned by a lender again. They want keys in hand and the title in their name because they already learned the hard way what happens when you owe a finance company and the month gets tight. This customer isn't buying a dream. He's buying survival. And that's exactly the kind of buyer that keeps the affordable used car market moving when the economy has everybody by the throat. Now back to Enterprise and Hertz Car Sales, because analysts pointed out something that seems obvious in hindsight, but that a lot of people in this business ignored for way too long. They're losing market share. And the reason? Prices are just too damn high. Simple as that. A guy pulls up their listings on AutoTrader, looks at his bank account, and closes the app without buying a thing. But then you might ask me, what about the digital car platforms? Because CarMax, Carvana, and Vroom keep growing. The marketing is everywhere. The model looks slick, modern, no nonsense. How does somebody keep growing in a market that's clearly stalled? The answer is in who's bankrolling the party. Banks and lenders went all in on the digital car market, offering financing right on your phone, instant approvals, monthly payments that look manageable on a screen. The customer doesn't feel the weight of the interest rate because the whole experience is so smooth that he's already signed before he stops to think. Enterprise, on the other hand, still leans on the traditional model. The customer has to come to the lot, sit across from a salesman, look him in the eye, and sign at the desk. All that friction makes people think harder, shop around more, and walk away more often. It's not necessarily that one model is better than the other. It's that in a market where credit is expensive and buyers are nervous, whoever removes the most friction wins, even if the final price tag is just as steep. Enterprise is trying to modernize. They're investing in digital tools, trying to let customers handle more of the process online without having to come in. But the problem is, they've got a massive infrastructure, dozens of locations spread across the country, employees, leases, physical overhead. Turning that ship toward digital isn't a matter of months, it's years. And the market isn't waiting around. It's no surprise there's been a leadership change. When the numbers fall apart and the model starts cracking, the first head to roll is always the one at the top. The new management came in with one job: fix what clearly isn't working anymore. Because look, I'll be straight with you. I believe that 10 years from now, the traditional used car dealership model as we know it today is going to look completely different. The customer is sending a loud and clear message to everyone in this business. He doesn't want to spend half a Saturday on a lot, haggling with a salesman, signing a stack of paperwork. He wants convenience, transparency, and speed. Whoever doesn't deliver that is going to get left behind, big operation or small. And in that environment, the ones winning the game right now are the banks and lenders who position themselves in the digital space. They came in like disruptors into an industry that hadn't changed in decades, putting financing right in the palm of your hand. And as much as I'm an old-school boots-on-the-ground guy, I've got to give credit where it's due. They nailed the customer's pain point dead center. But now I need to tell you what's going on behind the curtain of this easy credit system, because that's where the story gets a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot darker. The basic used car dealership model, everybody knows it. You buy a car from a customer for one price, sell it for more, pocket the spread, and maybe earn a commission on the financing. That's been the game since the first car rolled off an assembly line. Enterprise does it. The small independent does it. Everybody does it. What the banks and lenders did was take that same model and supercharge it with technology and easy credit. They're not just making money on the sale of the car. They're making money on the loan approval, the add-on insurance, the extended warranty, every single thing that comes after you sign on the dotted line. The car almost becomes just the excuse to sell you a full financial package. And that's where the danger lives. So let's call what's happening by its right name. Banks and lenders are approving loans that frankly shouldn't be approved, bundling those contracts and passing them around between each other at inflated values. The risk moves off one balance sheet and onto another. The profit shows up in the quarterly results. Wall Street applauds. It's a wheel that spins real nice, right up until the day it stops. And here's the fundamental difference between the models. Enterprise survives by selling cars. Their profit depends on buying right, prepping the vehicle, and moving it with margin. If the car doesn't sell, the cash bleeds out. Simple as that. The banks and lenders, on the other hand, are really selling debt. The car is just the excuse to generate the loan contract. They're not really in the car business. They're in the debt business. And mispriced debt, pushed onto the wrong customer, has an expiration date. Now let's talk real numbers, because this is where things get ugly. Enterprise dropped their average asking price on used inventory. In theory, when you lower the price, volume goes up. That's Economics 101. Cheaper product, more people buy. But what actually happened was the opposite. Profit per unit dropped roughly 10%, and even then, the number of cars sold kept falling right alongside it. Lower price and lower volume at the same time. That is every dealer's nightmare. And here's a detail not many people are talking about. The Kelley Blue Book and Black Book values were way too slow to react to the drop. While the real market was already trading below book value, the guides were still showing inflated numbers, creating the illusion that cars were worth more than any buyer was willing to pay. The result? Dealers got squeezed between book values that wouldn't budge and customers who wouldn't pay full price. Whoever needed liquidity had to sell below book just to move units, grinding down margins that were already razor thin. Enterprise is trying to do exactly the right thing, but imagine running that same operation across thousands of vehicles spread all over the country. You can't just wake up on a Monday morning and slash everything 15% across the board. Because if the right number was 8%, you just threw away 7% of margin on an enormous volume of vehicles. Every percentage point you get wrong represents millions of dollars evaporating. So they have to test. Drop 5%, watch the market for a few weeks. Drop another 5%, watch again. And the problem is that while they're making these slow, careful adjustments, the market keeps dropping out from under them. It's like trying to walk up a down escalator. You're moving, but the floor keeps pulling away. I don't envy whoever's running enterprise right now. It's an equation that can't be solved fast when the operation is that size. And speaking of problems with no easy fix, let me tell you about my biggest headache as a small independent dealer. It's not pricing. It's not financing. It's not customers without money. It's inventory. Always has been. Always will be. Do I buy more cars now that auction prices are decent? Or do I already have too much sitting on the lot and need to turn it before bringing in more? Am I set up right for the end of the year when demand picks back up? Or am I going to load up right when the market decides to freeze? It's an accordion that never stops opening and closing. The longer you're in this business, the harder it gets to find good inventory. And the funny thing is, it shouldn't be getting harder. But finding the right car in the right condition at the right price just keeps getting tougher. And the problem right now isn't the money to buy. It's finding the right unit. Here's what's happening. New car dealerships are selling fewer new cars. When a new car dealer sells fewer units, he gets fewer trade-ins. Fewer trade-ins means fewer cars going to auction. Fewer cars at auction means I show up and there's less to choose from. And there's 10 other small dealers standing right next to me wanting the same thing. Less supply, same demand. Auction prices don't drop. They stay stubbornly high, or they go up. And here's another factor nobody's really talking about: the wholesale flip. When a dealer buys a car at auction or from a private seller and realizes he can't move it at the price he needs, he wholesales it to another dealer, usually cheaper, just to get out from under it. That car ends up bouncing from lot to lot, each dealer hoping to find the buyer who never showed up. And when you start seeing that kind of wholesaling happening regularly in the market, it's a sign that inventory is overpriced, demand is weak, and everybody's trying to dump their problem before it turns into a loss. That's the real squeeze for the small dealer today: scarce inventory, expensive inventory, and customers without buying power. It's a double-edged blade cutting from both sides at once. Remember the stretch from mid-2021 into early 2022? The pandemic wrecked the supply chain, the chip shortage killed new car production, used car prices went through the roof. That was brutal. But what's happening right now is starting to get close to that level for completely different reasons. Because today the problem isn't a shortage of cars in the world. The problem is that the guy who owns a good car doesn't want to sell. He's not going to trade up to a new car because new cars are outrageously expensive and financing is out of reach. He's not going to sell because he doesn't know if he'll be able to buy anything decent afterward. So he keeps what he's got, takes better care of it, and the used car market slowly dries up, specifically because the best cars aren't coming available. The American consumer isn't stupid. The market is full of rough cars priced like clean ones, and that's a problem with no quick fix. That's exactly why I keep a close eye on what the big players are doing. When Enterprise and Hertz ramp up or pull back their inventory, when the banks and lenders tighten their approval standards, when average asking prices on AutoTrader and Cars.com start to shift, all of that gives me signals about what's coming down the road. That weight is real. It's a lot heavier than any earnings report can show on paper. And it's exactly that weight that keeps me studying this market seriously, tracking the big companies' numbers, reading the trends before they show up at my door. Because when the storm hits, I need to already have the roof reinforced. I can't be scrambling for shingles in the middle of the rain. And that's what this channel is here to do. While everybody else is just griping about the market without understanding why, we're here breaking down the numbers, translating what the big players are doing, and giving you real information so you can make smarter decisions. If this video opened your eyes to what's really going on in the used car market, hit that like button right now. Seems like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in keeping this channel going and bringing you more content like this. Subscribe too, there's a lot more coming. And if you know somebody who's thinking about buying or selling a car right now, share this video with them. You might just save their wallet before the market does it the hard way. See you in the next one.